All right, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you're watching. We are cooking live today. I'm George Montes, I'm your chef. And today we're gonna make crepes Suzette. And today actually we're gonna highlight for International Women's Month, or is it Women's History Month?
Women's History Month.
Yeah, I have Mandy's in the ones and twos back there. You won't see her, but you will hear her. If you have any questions or any comments, leave them in the chat. I'll respond to you later. We're taping this live, so if you're on the live chat now, jump in, chime in with any of your questions. If you're watching the recorded version, the video of this recipe, please leave any comments in the comment section, and I'll jump back and say what's up. Any of our viewers or subscribers to the channel, love you guys. Thank you always for your support, and thank you guys for watching. And I'm excited. We're gonna make crepes. This is one of the first dishes I've ever learned to make, crepes. So today we're cooking old school French cuisine. And in honor of Julia Child, my favorite, Julia Child's probably my favorite woman chef starting out. She was the one that kind of got me, I looked up to her. I would say, I liked Emerald Lagasse, but it's a woman chef back then, growing up in my late teens. Julia Child, I just loved her personality. I loved her humor. She's very witty. She loves to eat and drink, and it was kind of a little bit of my MO as well. Throughout, I'll be throwing you a couple fun facts about Julia Child, and this whole month I'm going to do a couple recipes from her. She's going to be my muse for the month of March in some of these cooking videos that we're going to use. All right, so we're going to get started first with one of her favorite cocktails. Have you ever had an Upside Down Martini? Upside Down Martini.
I've never heard of an upside down martini.
Oh, you never had an Upside Down Martini? So the name, it's funny, don't let it fool you. How do you drink an Upside Down Martini? You don't. It's the name of it. It's a reverse of the proportions of gin or vodka with vermouth. So this is actually a low AV alcohol, and it's mostly 5-to-1 vermouth to gin. And I'm using Bombay Sapphire for this. You can use any kind of gin. Let me give you a little close up here. You get a little close up over there, man. Cool. So we got Bombay Sapphire, you know what that looks, and there's so many different gins. And I want to show you this spirit here. This is Noilly Prat. It's a vermouth from France, from the south of France. If you never had vermouth before, it's always used a lot in a lot of cocktails as a flavor enhancer. Not normally as a main cocktail now in the States, but it is. You can actually drink vermouth on the rocks with a little spritzer. It's a nice before dinner drink, a little spritzer at the beginning of the party. So you can drink vermouth with that. And vermouth is a fortified wine with different botanicals and herbs. So it has, give you a little taste test here. So Noilly Prat, give you a little leave this here because you want to look it up. Noilly Prat. The recipe, by the way, right, Mandy, it's on the comments, you say?
Yeah, I'm in front of the comments now.
Yeah, so in the comments you can, the full recipe's on there so you can have it and cook it along with you. So this vermouth. Tasty, mild, not as strong with the botanicals. It has a little bit of like floral. I get some floral notes out of it. A little juicy. Really nice. And you know what? Me personally, I've never drank vermouth forward cocktails. And so this is a cool start into that. So I'm going to get started with the cocktail. So we said 5 parts vermouth to 1 part gin. Julia Child loved her gin. You can make this with vodka as well. We're going to measure that. I'm going to make 2. 1 for me and 1 for Mandy. So measure a big batch in here. Let's do about 7 ounces vermouth. So this is good if you're into, sometimes a martini is a stiff cocktail. You have 1, it gets you going. 2, you're on the edge. 3 martinis, it could be a different story. So this is a good way to have a low alcohol because the vermouth is only 18% alcohol and your Bombay is 47%. All right, so let's do about 1.5 ounces of gin. Put that in there. Very practical. We're just gonna add some ice and give that a stir. So this is a stirred cocktail. Where's my ice? Yeah, it's stuck in the thing. All right, so put a little ice in there. Yeah, we'll give you a little close up here. There you go. So give that a stir. For making cocktails, you can use any cup, but this is a nice little cute cup. And then you can just give it a couple stirs with your long spoon. That's gonna chill it slightly. While that's chilling a little bit, I'm gonna show you, right here, I'll give it a little close up here, how to make a lemon twist, the garnish that we're gonna use. Let's cut a little ring straight down. And then we're gonna fillet off the meat, making a little cut in here. And then we're gonna just slice into the lemon wheel. Of course, a sharp knife helps. Right? You get a nice little strip, and then you're gonna coil that up. Sometimes I like to use the spoon, and you can just wrap it around there. Wrap it around, or you can also just coil it up. You want to make almost like a little pig's tail, and this is how you make a lemon twist. Classic cocktail drink. Okay, a little twist. We're gonna pop that into our martini glass. I made a couple here earlier, and if you're having a party, just make a bunch in advance, put them in a little, coil them up. And if you do them in advance, it's even better because they'll keep their shape. Take a little spring coil, pop that in there. And a little fun fact, Julia Child actually, she preferred, instead of a lemon twist, her traditional garnish is a little pickled onion. Or one of those little onions that you put in your martini. That's what she liked. I'm not a big fan of the onion, so I stuck with the lemon. So here we go. You can use, this is a coupe glass, it's a traditional martini glass. It's always nice and popping. And then you have the coupe glass, so either one works. And then we're gonna serve that. Look at that. Elegant, not as strong as your traditional martini. You can have 3 or 4 of these and you're not gonna be as lit as if you had 2 or 3 of regular martinis. So this is your upside down martini, where the proportions are inverted. 5 times vermouth, 1 part gin. And which one do you like, Mandy? The coupe or the martini?
Always a coupe.
You're a coupe. Let me hand this to you. I got you.
It's just something like extra elegant for the class.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of both. I like the coupe. I think the coupe is a more lady touch, a little more elegant. It's beautiful. And if you don't know, you can use the coupe for champagne glasses, for champagne. It's even better than the flute. So cheers to Julia Child's. Cheers to cooking live, cooking together.
That's really good.
Nice, right? What do you think? What do you think about it?
It's really good. It's almost like a wine flavor more than a straight up cocktail.
Yeah, you really taste more. It's a wine cocktail. It's really vermouth. It's a fortified wine.
And the lemon is really nice. It's like a nice, refreshing.
Yeah, you get this nice like tawny, like kind of sweetness, like a dry golden raisin
Yeah.
in the back. Maybe that's from the vermouth.
Because Julia Child is like big into wine, right? Most of
Yeah,
her posts are about wine.
Julia loved food and wine. So much so, I mean, they moved to France. She was in her late 30s. And, fun fact, she's a late bloomer. She wasn't really a chef. She started out as, I think she did like research. She was in World War II. She was working for a company doing research for shark repellents because they would put mines in the ocean and the sharks were blowing up, and she was working figuring out compounds to. So she was a little bit into the scientific world, but not a chef yet. But it's not too far-fetched from being in the scientific realm and then the chef in the kitchen, because you're palpably seeing all these chemical reactions, and it's very scientific in cooking. So I can see how she was allured into that. But she's really a foodie. She got into it because she loved food, and I think that's the most important thing, is that you wanna love it because you like to eat, you like to drink, you like to libate and do all this good stuff, all this foodie stuff. All right, so I'm gonna get started with the recipe before I get too crunk over here. I'm gonna set this delicious cocktail. Yeah, that's very nice. Very simple, very elegant, and you can keep it up. All right, so we're gonna start with the main recipe, crepes Suzette. So in this recipe, we're gonna do three recipes in one, or three components of the recipe. First, we're gonna make the batter. The batter's a really good batter that you can use for crepes anytime, and it's kind of like a plain crepe batter recipe. So you can use this savory, you can go a little sweet. If you're going savory, I would kind of tone down the sugar on this. And if you're going sweet, just keep it the way it is. It's a pretty neutral recipe. And then we're gonna make a compound butter. A butter that's gonna be flavored with orange zest, orange liqueurs. Today's we're using one of my favorite liqueurs, Grand Marnier. Get that little zoom in there, Grand Marnier. Yep. Beautiful stuff. It's a cognac with oranges. Really, really classic, old school spirit that's used a lot in cooking, and I love cooking with it. I also like taking shots of it, or just on itself. It's great. It's one of my, put in my top 5 spirits to cook with and to eat with. And I love the taste of orange. And being a Florida guy, orange, a Florida man, not that Florida man. Sometimes I'm a Florida man, that kind of Florida man, but orange is going to be highlighted today. So I'm excited for that. And then we're going to of course, we're going to serve them flambé. So we're going to get started. I have the book here. This is Julia's Bible here. This is her first book. I didn't know that, but it took her almost 10 years to get it published. Nobody wanted to get it published. So 10 years. What a strong woman. She's like, screw these guys. Nobody wanted to publish her. I forgot how many times she got turned down. And finally, it got published, and then she blew up. She had her channel, The French Chef. If anybody's seen that, I remember growing up, PBS, Channel 2, right? What the heck do you watch? Yeah, I remember watching Julia Child. I'm giving you a little background how I got inspired by her. I think just by default, you're watching Channel 2. There's nothing else to watch. And I always love watching Jacques Pepin. I like her, Julia Child, and all this. She was on often. So I loved her. I always related her also to the Muppet Chef. So because the tone of her voice, and she's funny. So there's a little combination, all the reasons why I love her growing up. She was, I guess, my inspo in many ways. And now I'm on camera like her, so it's kind of like, hey, look at us. And that's what she's done to this industry. She's promoted enjoying to cook, and cooking shouldn't be scary. It shouldn't be too serious. It should be fun. It should be exciting, and you should be passionate about it. Because and it's true, because the best dishes taste better when you're in such a good mood and you're in love and doing it with love. All right, so enough of the love, and let's get started cooking. All right, so we're gonna use a blender for this. And how easy? You don't need to go crazy. You can do this on the bowl, but if you have a blender, just use the blender. It'll be a lot quicker. And we're gonna put all the ingredients in the blender, and I'll go through them right now. So this is the crepe batter. All right, so we have 3/4 cups of water. Put that in there. I like to put the liquids first. 3/4 cup of milk. Oh, you know what? I need to heat up. We're gonna do some butter, 5 tablespoons of butter, unsalted butter. I'm gonna heat that up right here on the stove. So you can melt that. You can pop it in the microwave. I don't have a microwave here, but pop it in there. Melt it up. So we're gonna do melted butter. That's gonna be the fat. That's gonna help keep the batter flexible. So when you make the crepes, they're not breaking apart. They have a little bit of a tug, a gentle pull, elasticity per se. So we're gonna get that in there. While that's waiting, I'm gonna crack 3 eggs in there. Get all the wet ingredients. Okay, and then next we're gonna add sugar. A tablespoon, 1 ounce of sugar. Is it 1 ounce of sugar? 1 tablespoon, sorry. 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then we're gonna let the butter melt. I'm also gonna put a little pinch of salt. I like adding just a little pinch of salt on my desserts. It just kind of brings out the sweetness a little bit, and it kind of counters the sweetness at the same time. It's kind of cool when you have something sweet. You add a little bit of salt, and it just kind of salt highlights and also kind of counters the sweetness, so it creates this nice. What's that? So the butter you just want to melt. You don't want to get it too brown or anything. Just low heat. Get it nice and melted. There you go. That's good. So butter right in there. It smells good in here, right? Alrighty. The magic of butter, right? Julia taught me a lot of butter, a lot of butter. She fell in love with France. And all the butter and all the wine. All right, so then we're gonna put 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, AP flour. All right, put that in there. And we're gonna blend this for 30 seconds, up to a minute, but I think 30 seconds is good. You don't wanna fluff it up too much, because the more you whip it, you're gonna make a really fluffy batter. So let's turn this on. Cheers. All right, so that's pretty quick. So what you want to do when you make the batter, you want to strain this, and you want to let it rest for at least 2 hours. You can do this overnight, even better. Why? Because you want the flour to kind of absorb the liquid in there, and also since we beat it up so fast in the blender, you want all those bubbles to kind of like dissipate, and you don't need the extra fluffiness in there. We want it a little bit fluffy, but not too fluffy that it's like a poofy pancake. You want crepes should be really thin. If you hold them up to the sun, to the light, they should be kind of see-through. All right, so we're gonna get a little container and strain it, and we're removing any excess lumps.
And so this recipe you can use for any crepe.
Yeah, this recipe you can use for savory and sweet. If you're doing something very savory, you can also cut the sugar by half. I like to leave a little bit of sugar. It just kind of adds a little softness to the dough. Really nice flavor. So pretty much, look, you get almost a full quart of the batter. That should give you plenty for about at least 20 crepes. I also made a little batter before, so I have that ready to go. So I'm gonna keep that around here. And we're gonna cook some crepes. And then we're gonna also make the butter. For the butter, you're gonna need a food processor. So I have one right here. And just keep that handy. Actually, before I bring the food processor, I want to show you some stuff. All right, so oranges. 2 oranges. Look at these beauties. We have 2/3 of a cup of orange juice, half a pound of butter, which is 8 ounces.
Half a pound of butter.
Yeah, half a pound of butter. Yep, this is a French. This is a French recipe. That's lots of butter. Dessert too. And we're gonna do how much sugar? A 1/4 cup of sugar, and then we'll keep these guys around here. All right, so the oranges. I want to show you another garnish here, and I got these garnishes because I'm gonna keep garnishes for later on for when we present the crepes. You're gonna do also almost this is the same garnish that you would do for like an old fashioned. I'll show you right here. You get with a peeler, with a wide peeler, make a long scrape like this, and then to make it a little sexier, we're gonna trim it. Make a little slip, make nice straight lines here. Give it a little angle cut here on the ends. And now you have a nice, beautiful strip. This one you can use for your old-fashioned, it's a little chefy presentation. It looks nicer. It looks like, wow, someone knows what they're doing, right? So this is good. You can also give this a little coil if you like and keep that around there. That's nice. Do 1 or 2 with the oranges, but what we're gonna do with the oranges here, we're gonna zest them into the sugar. Julia's recipe actually called for sugar cubes, and she would get the sugar cubes and then rub them on the orange zest, in turn grinding kind of the sugar off the cubes, and also infusing the cubes with the oil with the oranges. Oranges are filled with so much delicious oils on the skin. So you have a little bit more tart, a little sharp, kind of bitter orange essence that comes from the oils. So it's good to use the oils from all your citrus. All right, so with a microplane, look at this guy. This is a microplane. This was used to be used for wood, and now it's used for a lot of cool stuff. So it's pretty much like a micro grater. So we're gonna grate the 2 oranges right into the sugar. There's 2 ways you can do this. I like to kind of get the orange from one side down here and then grind up. I see a lot of chefs also like to just kind of hold it backwards and then just kind of like, you're kind of grate using this hand to kind of grate around the orange. So there's a couple ways you can use this. I like to do it my way. Go from bottom to top and just start from one end and you'll get all around. I mean, right now, if you're cooking with me right now, if you're at home, the room should be smelling like a orange orchard. Is it orchard? In Florida, yeah. Well, they're more Central Florida. You're not walking around Florida and there's oranges. That's what you thought when you came from New York? It's just beaches, bikinis, and oranges everywhere. I guess it depends what part of town you're in. So we're gonna get all that zest. This is gonna give us all this nice flavor in here. You could, if you want to chef up your batter a little bit, you can also put some of the zest in the batter. That looks nice on the crepe batter. If you're doing a savory crepe, you can add some fresh herbs into the batter. It looks really nice to have those herbs in there as well. Okay, so once you zest that right into the sugar, put that in there. I want to show you also another little trick something we can do with the oranges. We're going to make segments. And when making segments or supremes, this is what they'll look like. I'll show you a done one here. See, these are nice, perfectly cut segments out of the orange. There's no pith, no nothing. And this is a little chefy trick that I want to show you guys. When I started cooking, I was very close to just being a pastry chef. And this is one of those tedious jobs that a lot of pastry chefs end up doing. Let's supreme a whole case of oranges or stuff like that. So I remember doing this in pastry shop. So I'm going to cut off the tops and the bottoms, and then I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to cut around and peel off, and then you start seeing this. This is what you want. So once you can start seeing that, you can kind of use that as your guide, and then you're going to cut around. See, you start seeing, boom. Turn it around, and then cut around, and cut. We're essentially peeling the orange, removing all the pith. This is how they cut the orange for you, Naya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It always amazes me how you get this maybe that piece of skin.
Yeah. This is how I cut for a little one in the house. She loves her oranges. So take as much of the pit. You can also put it upside down and see, oh, I missed all this, right? So you come back and just give this a little touch up and remove that. The pit, you can eat it, but it's kind of bitter, right? So in French cooking, especially in fine dining, it's all about refinement and eliminating all these little bits and pieces that you can eat it, yeah, but if you're going to do a little more refinement, you want to remove this stuff so it doesn't get stuck in your teeth. It's not bitter. And then you get, really nice, soft, delicate flavors. Okay, so once you peel that, I'm going to remove this. Right? Let me show you here. So you can see these little white lines of the pit. That's going to be your guide. You're going to put the blade right next to that. And you're going to cut into the orange. Remove that. See that little line over here? You're going to put the knife right next to it and cut into the orange. And you cut it at an angle, so once you get to the inside, that core of the orange, it slices off perfectly. Look at that. It's our orange segment. In French, they call orange supremes. I'll give you a shot from above. There you go. The other shot's probably better, but yeah, this is what it looks like. So I'll do a couple more. I'm gonna do this whole orange, and I like to do these little segments because I'm gonna use these at the end of the dish. We're gonna use them as a garnish, and they're gonna be nice and fresh. Really, really nice in there. So do the whole orange. Yes, it's a little bit of a tedious job, but this is, if you want to be a chef, this is what it takes. And it's not that bad once you get used to it. It's actually nice. It gets a little tricky if you're trying to do this with lemons and limes, but with orange, it's nice because it's nice, big, it's easy to see. But if you're making a citrus salad, this is nice. And then what I like to do with the remaining part here, there's still plenty good juice in here. I'm going to squeeze that into my juice for the recipe. It calls for 2/3 of a cup of orange juice. And there's nothing like fresh squeezed orange juice. I love having that for breakfast. So the 2 oranges, we zested them both. I'm going to squeeze it and get a fresh orange juice out of the other half here. Yeah, this is nice. Keep it like that. That's good. All right, so we put my segments over here. We use that for later. All right. So next steps we have here. We have our sugar, we have our orange, and we have our butter, and that we're going to stick in a food processor, and we're going to blend that for about a minute. We want to cream the butter. We want to cream the butter and the sugar together. And it's going to fluff up the butter a little bit. This is what you call a compound butter, which you get a butter and then you flavor it with different flavors, different ingredients. In this case, the orange. And you can use this to have with bread or other little things. All right, so in the food processor, we're going to put the butter, the sugar, and the zest.
So what would you pair this dish with for dinner?
So what would I pair this dish with for dinner? As
For dessert, right?
well, this is dessert. Yeah. So this is dessert. This is your showstopper, uh, especially in fine dining restaurants. They would make this table side. So this is the dessert you would order if you want to like impress that date or that special someone, or it's just cool to have it on the table. I would pair this with a glass of cognac or Grand Marnier to go along with. And this is like a seal the deal kind of dish, you know what I mean? No? All right. No. And I'm gonna put also a little pinch of salt. You can put a little pinch of sea salt, just a little bit, again, to bring out the flavors from there. And we're gonna process that. There we go. So we need to get this nice and fluffy. When it's nice and fluffy, then we're gonna add the orange juice and we're gonna add some orange liqueur. And if you watch the old school videos, black and white of Julia Child making the crepes, they have a pretty cool. She has a cool mixer. She has a mixer, a hand mixer. But it's just funny seeing that time. This is a cooking show from almost 60 years ago. But her recipes still stand the time. All right, so I'm gonna just scrape the sides a little bit here and let it fluff a little bit more. But this is starting to look nice. You want to make sure your butter is also room temperature when you're doing this, because if it's too hard, it's gonna take a lot longer. It's a good time to have another toast. Cheers. If you're watching on TikTok, what are you doing? Jump on the channel. Go to YouTube, Sazon. We're doing this live. We have the full setup, different cameras. Happy Thursday night. We're honoring and celebrating Julia Child today. How does it look in this shot? All right. Yeah, that's good. So, we're gonna add in here 3 ounces of orange, 3 tablespoons. If any orange liqueur, I'm gonna add Grand Marnier because I'm feeling fancy. So 3 tablespoons of that. We're gonna mix that. Now, when you're adding the liquids, we're emulsifying because we have all this fat from the butter. So this is almost like a reverse emulsification. We're adding the liquids in there. So we want to make sure you just add a little bit at a time so it doesn't kind of curdle. Mix that in there. Scrape the sides and give it another mix. Yeah, it's a beautiful looking butter. Okay. And I'm going to add half of the orange juice, puree, and then add the other half. Okay, put the other half in there. There you go. A little bit more. Make sure all the orange juice is mixed. And once you make this, you want to leave this room temp. Because once you put it in the fridge, it gets really rock hard. So if you are going to put it in the fridge, make sure you shape it into whatever mold you like. What I like to do if I'm doing a dinner party, I'll put this in a piping bag, and then I'll pipe little rosettes or different little shapes from the butter. That way, when it gets hard, you have these little cute shapes. You know, when you go to a hotel or you go to a fancy restaurant, you'll see that they'll give you little beautiful rosettes or shapes of butter. So that's what they do. They put it into molds, or you pipe it into different shapes with the different piping tips. So let me get a container and pack that up for us. Let's get this out of here. And which camera is better for this?
Can you give us a little close-up of the...
Yeah, right here above. Where we at? You like that one? Let's go to the other one. Look at that. Shake it, pound, pound. Shake it, pound, pound.
Yeah.
All right, so this is our compound butter or orange butter. And you can use this butter for a lot of things. I mean, you can put this butter on top of salmon and put it in the oven, and you have a nice salmon with a little butter, orange butter sauce. So I like that you can use this not just for desserts, but also for grilling and for other savory dishes as well. You could do a little rice with a little pat of orange butter on top, and it goes real nice. All right, so I'm going to put this away, and then I'm going to start making some of the crepes, because now cooking the crepes has its own trick. And they're not just your regular pancakes. They're not called crepes. They're crepes. That's French. But it doesn't matter what you call them as long as you're making them, right? And they taste good. That's the important thing. You can practice your language after. But it's always good to pronounce the dish from, from whatever country it's from, and it's the way it should be called, right? I think one of my favorite things about cooking is that, the celebration of the world through food, through the cultures. And in honoring that, you learn these cultures, and then you learn in a fun way. You're eating good food.
Like bouffe, how do you say that? Bouffe bourguignon?
Bouffe bourguignon, yeah. So yeah, Julia has a bunch of recipes that are her fave. And in the book, you'll find a bunch. She has a lot, but I think what are some of the top ones? French onion soup. I mean, she likes all the classics. She's very classic French. She likes French onion soup, beef bourguignon, coq au vin, which we're gonna make next week. Tune in live. What else does she like? Throw me a bone out here.
I know she likes a lot of meat, right?
Yeah, beef bourguignon. But anywho, we're gonna start making the crepes. All right. So for the crepes, we're gonna get our batter. Make sure it was relaxed and chilled. Right. We're gonna get a nonstick pan. This is a 10-inch. This is a 10-inch pan. You can use something smaller. And we're gonna get the temperature right. We're gonna do a medium-high heat just to get started. You can set your compound butter to the side. We're not going to use that yet. Just have a little additional butter. This is just going to be to coat the pan. And use butter. Don't use oil. Don't use the pan spray. Butter is the way to go here. So what I like to do, get a little chunk like so. And then we're going to just coat the pan. Let that, see the oil starting, the butter starting to bubble a little bit. That's what you want. You're gonna go medium-high heat. There you go, medium-high heat. And then you can grab a ladle, or I like this plastic containers because then you can kind of pinch it a little bit and create a little spout. And now the first crepe is always your test crepe, so it's not always gonna be perfect. You need to have all the right components, and in cooking, all the right components, you know, it's all the sum of the parts. You need to know about temperature. You need to make sure your temperature is correct. How do you know about that? In the first crepe, we'll find out. If it's too cold, it's gonna sit there. If it's too hot, it's gonna burn. So my sense right here, first I want to put my hand above and I feel some kind of heat. Okay, I don't want to see smoke because that means it's starting to burn or it's too high. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna give you a little close up here. Camera. Here we go. Okay, so you want to put a little bit on one side of the pan, and this is a technique. You're going to tilt. I'm going to show you here, and we're going to make a couple. So put them in there, and then you're going to tilt the pan enough to coat. See, as you tilt, it kind of sticks with the heat, and it should just have a nice thin layer. Put that back on the heat. As soon as you did your coating, and I'm going to do a couple more you can see from this angle as well so you can have a good idea. This is the part that takes practice, but practice is all about repetition. And in cooking, you can learn to make everything fast and quick, but once you learn it, it stays with you forever. Especially all these little techniques. So making the crepe, I'll show you again. So I like to have a little spatula. I like these little baby spatulas. My favorite for these kind of little tedious jobs. Even gets my pinky up because it's just kind of cutesy. But this is a craft. This is a hands-on action, you know, cooking. So using your hands is and being connected with your hands, knowing as you touch it, as you do, it affects the food. So what we're looking for here, get a little brown on the edges. You start seeing that the edges start either coming off the sides, and that's a good sign. That means it's not sticking. It is a non-stick pan, so whenever you're using metal on the non-stick pan, you gotta be careful not to scrape into it. I'm just kind of gently scooping and just kind of lifting the edges a little bit. I'm not going in and scraping the pan. If it's someone else's pan or you want to use a rubber spatula, that works too, but I feel like something thin, it's better. So you start seeing that the sides here are starting to brown. That's a good sign that it's ready. So what I like to do, I'll go and lift that side up, and with my hands from the edge, just gently pick it up and flip it. Up and down. See, we get some nice, beautiful coloration here, nice brown. This side could use a little more suntan over here. So it probably goes about 30 to 45 seconds on one side, and then another 10 seconds or so. One side is going to be the presentation side, right? So the side that's more brown, beautiful looking, that's going to be your presentation side. Now these are crepes that we're making in a pan. It's not like you're at the festival where you have that guy has a big giant thing and that little mop stick kind of deal that he's twirling it. But it's the same concept, a little smaller. All right, so what are you gonna do once it's done? Just flip it out into the cutting board or a little plate. Actually, I made a couple of crepes earlier and I just had them ready. So if you're making this at home, at a party, you can make them the night before, keep them in the fridge. You can put paper in between or just put a little bit of butter in between. You can also, if you like, you can use some of the compound butter and you can kind of pre-make the crepes and stuff them with the batter, like so. So what you want to choose is the darker side on the outside and whatever in the inside, just put a little bit of that butter inside. Yeah, if I'm doing a party, I would do this. I would do a couple, put a little bit of butter, and then just flip it in half. What's gonna happen? They're gonna overnight. They're gonna be nice, and the butter's gonna cement that, and you'll see once I get to cooking how it look. So we know that the pan is good. Put a little bit more butter, and let's do it from this other the main shot. Here we go. Yeah, just want to show you the kind of how it goes, right? So now we put the butter. It's nice and hot. Out of the heat, pour about, I don't know, about an ounce and a half, and then start twirling it. See? If it needs a little bit more, you can put a little bit more. But you can't, it's harder to take it out, right? So you just kind of twirl the pan. You're kind of like dancing with it a little bit. Once it's nice and thin, it's sticking there. Put it back on the heat. So that's kind of like the dance with the crepes. You put a little bit, you twirl it around. A little bit of a hula dance, a little bit of a, has some kind of flair, some finesse, right? And all these are the moves. These are the moves that you'll learn as you cook. You kind of start flowing. It feels like your French Tai Chi action over here. So let's do. I'm gonna do after this one. I'm gonna do one more, and then we're gonna make the actual the final dish because I have a couple of these already made. And if you have any questions, guys, pop them up. Any questions out there, Mandy? You got any questions? When do we get to eat it? Yeah, very soon. Very soon. All right, so I think once you're making a bunch of crepes, you can, once you master one pan, you can have two pans at the same time and then do it. At one point, I was using five different burners, 5 or 6 burners, and doing it. You get into this flow. All right, lift, boom, quick, up and throw, because it's hot. If you don't want to use your hands, you can try to flip them, but they're so thin and so big that when you flip them, sometimes it just lands wrong, and you don't need to do that. Yeah, I don't like to flip it in the air. I'll try on the next one. It doesn't come out as good as just kind of gently kind of dropping them and kind of like you're folding. It feels like you're folding laundry, and you'll see when we make them how that goes. All right, so you just light it off the pan too. Boom. So I'll make a quick one. You don't need to keep putting butter every time. This has enough grease. It's just enough to lube and coat the pan. Look at that. Boom. All right. So that's going to cook. Gives me a second to have a sip of my drink. Our Upside Down Martini. You know what? I've never really gotten into Upside Down Martinis before. And now as I'm drinking this, I'm like, this is nice because it's yeah, I think it's great if you're invited to a cocktail party and you're like, honey, don't get drunk tonight. Or normally that's what I would hear, I guess. It would be the other way around. But, you're having a cocktail and it's a nice spritzer and it keeps you in the party, but it's not a strong boozy one. And it's very, really elegant. And I think if you use really high quality gin, like a Hendrix or something that you like, I mean, Bombay is nice, but there's so many other nicer gins, I think, that you can use. All right, so I'm going to show you one more flip of the. I'm going to see if I can show you. Now you need more butter for the flipping, so that's why I like to just kind of pick it up. See, look at that, and then flip it. Yep, it needs to be almost as thin as the wafer that they put in your mouth when you go to a Catholic church. What do you call that?
The body of Christ.
The body of Christ, yeah. As thin as the body of Christ. That man is so fit. All right, so give that a turn, flip it back, and here we have our crepes ready to go. Okay, so now we're gonna get ready to make the exciting part, right? The Suzette, the flaming part of the dish. So if you're making this at home, or if you're in a restaurant and they were serving this to you, they have all this stuff ready. The crepes are already made. There's not a guy making it last minute. The crepes are made in advance, and this is the same thing you would do at home. You want to make your crepes, and especially if you're doing breakfast in the morning. You're not making them to order unless you're doing for 1 or 2 people. All right, so in our pan here, we're gonna need. Where's my sugar? We're gonna need a little bit of sugar. We're gonna do 2 tablespoons of sugar. Keep that standing by. We're gonna use our butter, our compound butter. You know what? I didn't try it. Let me give you a little. That's good. Wash my hands. So, buttery.
Chef Jason said, Lord honey, how you doing?
Oh, Lord Honey, hey, what's up, Jay? Good to see you, Jason. We're making crepes Suzette.
Hey, dude, say that.
So we have a nice little butter. So you get this nice, this butter, orange juice. You get this nice sweet and softness from the orange juice, acidity from the actual juice. The softness comes from the actual essence of the orange. The sweetness from the sugar. So we're gonna do about half of that. Speaking of sugar, we're gonna keep the other half for later, since we're only making a certain amount of crepes. Oh yeah, here we go. Here we go. So we're gonna cook down this butter. It's gonna take about a minute or so, or 2 minutes. We don't want to brown it, but we do want to cook it down a little bit. That's just, by cooking it down, it's going to reduce some of that orange. When you reduce something, right? You hear that a lot in cooking. What are you reducing? You're reducing the water, the moisture in here. So the moisture is all these fumes that are flying out. That's water. It tastes like water. It leaves. Water leaves. Flavors concentrate. They go in, right? So this is why you reduce things. It also thickens up the sauce. So when you're reducing something, you're kind of fortifying and you're intensifying your sauce. Getting rid of any unnecessary water and just kind of concentrating all those flavors. And I'm just giving this a twirl. So what we're going to do once this is ready, we're going to start dipping our crepes in that butter. And that's probably the fun part. So for the next step, make sure you have a spoon. You can use some tongs. If you're at a fancy restaurant and they're coming to your table to make it, the server will probably have two spoons, and that's kind of like what what they call French serving, where the server grabs 2 spoons, almost like chopsticks. Similar technique, kind of. And then you use it almost like a tong. Today I'm going to use tweezers because I don't need to do all this fancy French maneuvering. But I have my spoon standing by. And really, whatever tool works best for you. Like any mechanic or anybody that works, or any wood shop guy or carpenter or whatever, the tools are the best tools if they work for you. So you want to make sure you have the proper tool, but you also want to make sure that you can use them and you know how to use them, and they're functional for you. Okay? So this is good. Now, you're smelling it. As you're cooking, applying your senses is important. I can give you a recipe, but right now what I want you to smell, if it could be a minute, it could be 2 minutes, you want to smell that orange. You start smelling a little bit of that butter kind of like sizzling. And what I'm doing here, I'm just giving this a swirl. Why? Because I like to keep the butter kind of composed. Sometimes if it cooks down, a spot will burn. So by swirling it around, it's almost like stirring. All right. So I'm going to lower the heat a little bit here. I'm going to go to medium heat. My butter is nice and toasted. I could also see like these bubbles. Let me give you a little close up here, Mandy. Yeah, see how that butter is like nice and caramelly right here. I mean, the butter alone, you can just heat this up like this, put that on top of pancakes. Speaking of Jason, you can put that on top of corn cakes. That'd be really good too. A little southern twist in there. So, make sure I have the heat on. Lose the heat. Right. So you still want to keep some bubbles. So this is a trick. You're making the crepes. You want to put the whole thing in there, and you're gonna flip it on his belly, and we're coating the crepes with that butter. And you know what? I'm gonna put a little bit more of that butter because I feel like we're gonna run out of butter. Yeah, put a big chunk in there. So this is the trick. As the crepes are, you dip them in there, you fold them in half, and then you fold it one more time. So they're like this. And you set that aside. We're going to continue doing that. We're going to put another crepe in there. You know what I'm going to do with I think with the both spoons might be even easier. Let's see. Put it one side, flip it, and then fold that in half, and then fold that in half one more time. You know what? I think the spoons are easier to catch, so let's go with the spoons. And then you set that to the side here.
So you're layering them
Yeah, you see how I'm kind of stacking them a little bit? And I'm going to put that in there. So you want to cook them up in that butter. Make sure they're soaking in all that butter. So if you feel like this is a little tricky, like this is a little bit of a pain in the butt because you're kind of working over the hot heat. My other trick that I was showing you here earlier, where you put already butter inside, right? Almost like a quesadilla here. So all you have to do is just cook them on one side here. On one side and only fold it once. And then fold that over. Oh yeah, this is coming. Let's do one more. Yeah, it's coming up. This is the best part right here. So you'll get the practice as you make these. But the trick is to get them fully coated with that butter in the inside and on the outside. It gives a nice, beautiful color too, from the oils of the zest. So you get this little like yellow orange hue to the crepes. That's really nice. All right. So this is why it's a tricky dish. Imagine being a server making this. And this, I was reading that this dish was created by an assistant server back in the late 1900s, a long time ago, guys. And he made this. He was making this for, I think, Prince Edward. Which the prince of, he was a Prince of Wales, and he eventually became the Prince Edward. And it was a mistake. He loved it so much that he named it after one of his dining companions. So a lot of French recipes are always either a queen, some kind of monarch, or some kind of girlfriend, or someone they love. So it's nice. So once we have our crepes shaped, now we're gonna put that extra sugar, 2 tablespoons of sugar, right on top. Why do we do this? Because this is gonna caramelize a little bit on top. It's gonna do like that creme brulee effect once we add the alcohol, which is coming out. Now, whenever you're flambeing, you want to be careful because it's going to flame up, and you're going to get this fireball. A couple important things. The alcohol is not going to flame up until it touches some kind of flame. So if you're using an electric stove, it's not going to flame up. You need to get the little lighter stick, and that'll help. So whenever you add in the alcohol, in this case, I turn off the heat. There's no heat, so there's no flames. I'm going to add 1/3 cup of cognac. If that flame was there, that would have caught on fire right now. Oh, my book. My Julia Child book. I smothered her book. And 1/3 cup of Grand Marnier. All right, a little grandma. And now we're gonna get the flame action going on. That happened over there? Oh, it was live. Oh, you taking a picture? Use your phone.
It went off.
It went off? Okay, that's fine. All right, so we ready to go? Oh, you want to get the other shot? Here, let's leave it on this one. All right, ready? So now we're going to turn this on. And it's going to flame up. Ready to switch? You can leave it in there when it catches and then let it go again. All right, so now we're going to hit the flame and it'll catch on fire now. All right. You can't see it, but that's on fire.
So do you recommend using the flame or more like a small lighter?
No, you could do both. But more importantly than the flame, and you can't see it because it's on TV here, you want to hear, let me give you a little close-up here. This is what you want, the consistency of your syrup. Almost like a nice caramel. This is what you want. So I'm gonna bring the plate here and let's plate up. This is good right here. Okay, this is good. I think right here. All right, so let's plate this guy up. Beautiful crepes right here. Then we're gonna garnish with our orange segments here.
Do you keep those cold?
You,
Keep them in the refrigerator?
yeah, the segments you can keep them cold. I like them a little cold because it does a little counter pop from the hot sauce. You can also warm them up in the sauce as well. I just think it adds a nice contrast. Let's go with that. And then you can put some of these orange zest tuiles that I created. I have a couple of these here. And these are nice little touches. Look nice and beautiful. And then the remaining sauce, we're gonna pour that right on top. Look at that. Boom. And here we go, guys. Crêpe Suzette.
You know, when I saw the ingredients in the recipe instructions, I thought it was going to be a really complicated dish to make,
Mm-hmm.
but the way that you break it down, it's pretty easy, and learning that crepe recipe is
Yeah, they're pretty easy, pretty practical, and very delicious. Here, let me show the other. So here we go, guys. This is our crepe Suzette. Actually, how does it look up from above? Mmm, mmm.
Very delicious. You can serve it with like some vanilla ice cream on the side.
Oh yeah, a little ice cream here. I'm gonna taste a little bit right here. So you gotta be careful as soon as this is, you get served. This is hot, you know, nice caramel. Mmm. Mmm. Wow. Amazing stuff. Rich, boozy. You have cognac, you have Grand Marnier in there. You get a little bit of the caramelized zest that's in the butter that has a nice little like sweet bitter that I love so much. And let me try a little piece here with the orange segment. I think it's a nice touch because it adds a little bit of that fresh orange that could be lost. You can also garnish with some fresh almonds on top. You could do some maraschino cherries. Either one works really good. Mmm, on fire. Delicious. Great recipe. I love crepes Suzette. So if you next time you're at a restaurant, if you never had crepes Suzette, order it. Order it's delicious. Or now you have my recipe. Well, Julia's recipe. It's not my recipe. This is Julia's recipe, and this is a recipe that I've been cooking for a long time. It's tried and true, and you should also do it too. And cheers to Julia. And cheers to you guys. Thank you guys for watching. Any questions, please leave them on the comment below. I'll jump back and I'll reply and say hello. And if you have any other recipes from Julia that you recommend, throw them in the mix because next week I'm going to do coq au vin. Ooh, coq au vin, yes. Red wine, chicken stew. Classic French dish, one of her popular dishes as well. And another one that I enjoy making. I'll be doing that next week. But if you have any requests or any recommendations or any more fun facts about Julia that I missed, throw them in the chat, and we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for watching again. You've been Sazon.